Shalawama, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. So today we're going to do the Astra, or the, wait a minute, hold on one second. There we go. All right. So today we're going to do the video. I do apologize about yesterday with this video. But anyway, this is the God's Wife video, or the God's Wife edited out of the Bible. So check this out. I thought this was very interesting. Again, this is going to be one of those videos where I don't really give any commentary. I'll just maybe look up some words or explain what a paragraph means, or make a connection, okay, because this might be a sensitive topic also. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let me pull up, let me turn my camera off. So I'm going to pull this document up. All right. Some people might wonder, why do I always turn my camera off? Because I do that because it distracts me. If I if I'm looking at the screen and I'm also looking at myself, I get distracted. So anyway, here we are. This is just an article that I got off the internet. This is going to be what we start with, okay? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start here. Capital G-O-D. Okay, so this deity's wife edited out of the Bible. And then it has here almost, okay? Excuse me, so let's get started. So capital G-O-D had a wife, Asherah, whom the book of Kings suggests was worshipped alongside the Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton is YHWH, right? Excuse me. This is just one of the pronunciations of the Tetragrammaton. For those people who may be new to this information, this is the modern Hebrew name that they use, but the Hebrew Israelites and others pronounce the Tetragrammaton, the YHWH. So I'll show you. This is the Y, H, oops, and here's the W, H. And so others will change these vowels. So you see these vowels, they'll change these vowels. Okay, or they'll add in between, they'll put a vowel in between the H and the W, or switch the W to a V. Okay, so that's how they come up with all of those different names or pronunciations, but the pronunciations are always the same deity, right? It's just a different pronunciation, okay? So that's what that's about. All right, so let's start back again. So the deity had a wife, Asherah, whom the book of Kings suggests was worshipped alongside the Tetragrammaton in his temple in Israel, according to an Oxford scholar. So let's check it out. So here we are in 1967, Raphael Paté was the first historian. Let me increase the size of this for some of y'all who might be not be able to see it so clearly. I hope that's okay for y'all. Okay. So in 1967, Raphael Paté was the first historian to mention the ancient Israelites worship both the Tetragrammaton and Asherah. Okay. Okay, the theory, so this is a theory. The theory has gained new prominence due to the research of Francesca Stavrakopoulos, who began her work at Oxford and is now a senior lecturer in the Department of Theology and Religion at the University of Exeter. Right? Information presented in Stavrakopoulos, what a name, right? In this author's book, this researcher's book, lectures and journal papers, has become the basis of a 3-part documentary series now airing in Europe, where she discusses the YHWH deity Asherah connection. Okay, so in Europe, this is big. You might know him as YHWH Allah, or what? Capital G-O-D, right? But on this fact, Jews, Muslims, and Christians, the people of the great Abrahamic religions, are agreed. There is only one of him, writes the researcher in a statement released to the British media. He is a solitary figure, a single universal creator, not one capital G-O-D among many, or so we like to believe. Okay. All right. So this says here what? That this deity's or the Christ figure's great grandmother identified. Well, let's see what that's about. After years of research specializing in history and religion of Israel, however, I have come to a colorful and what would seem to some uncomfortable conclusion. The capital G-O-D had a wife, she added. This researcher bases her theory on the ancient texts, amulets, and figurines. So ancient texts, amulets, and figurines unearthed primarily in the ancient Canaanite coastal city called Ugarit, now modern day Syria. All of these artifacts revealed that Asherah was a powerful fertility G-O-D in the feminine gender, right? That's what that is. Feminine gender, okay. Asherah's, well, this female deity connection to YHWH occurred to the researcher is spelled out in both the Bible and in 8th century BC inscription on pottery found in the Sinai desert at a site called Kun Tilit Arjurad. The inscription is a petition for a blessing, she shares. Crucially, the inscription asks for a blessing from the Tetragrammaton and his female wife deity. You see the name there. Okay, I'm trying not to say the name. I'm going to try to develop the habit of this, okay? So bear with me. Here was evidence that presented the Tetragrammaton and the alleged female wife as a divine pair. And now a handful of similar inscriptions have since been found, all of which help to strengthen the case that the capital G-O-D of the Bible once had a wife. Okay, once had a wife. Also significant, the researcher believes, is the Bible's admission that the female deity, whose name is here, okay, Asherah, was worshipped in the Tetragrammaton's temple in Jerusalem. So that would be a big deal, right? All right. In the book of Kings, we're told that a statue of this female deity was housed in the temple and that the female temple personnel wove ritual textiles to her. Okay, so that's work, right? They're doing work. Remember what we read in the video, was it yesterday or the day before? You should not worship them. Remember, part of that had to do with doing work or service. Okay, so let's continue. So J. Edward Wright, president of both the Arizona Center for Judaic Studies and the Albright Institute for Archaeological Research, told Discovery News that he agrees several Hebrew inscriptions mention the Tetragrammaton and his female deity, Asherah. Okay, so this female deity, alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton, was not entirely edited out of the Bible by its male editors. Now, do y'all see this? Okay, what's the key word that I'm thinking of? Edited out of the Bible by its what? Male editors. So when we go to Jeremiah 8:8. Let's go to Jeremiah 8:8, just for review. Okay, my favorite version of Jeremiah 8:8 is the Amplified Bible. How can you say we are wise and the law of the Most High is with us and we are learned in its language and teachings? It's a question. Behold, or the truth is that the lying pen of the scribes have made the law into a lie. All right. Now let's look at, where is it at? There's one more. There's one about the teachers. Oh, okay, here we are, New Living Translation. How can you say we are wise because we have the word of the Most High when what? Your teachers have twisted it by writing lies. Now let's go back to the article. Oops, here. Let's go back to the article. Does this make more sense now? Everybody see, we see another example of outside researchers or experts other than Dr. Yasapa at Zion Law School saying that the Bible has been edited. Things have been added to and taken away. Okay, so this female deity, so it's not just me saying it, okay? This female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton was not entirely edited out. See that? Not entirely edited out of the Bible by its male editors. Who? The teachers, the scribes, right? Okay. So let's continue. Traces of her remain. And based on these traces, archaeological evidence and references to her in texts from nations bordering Israel and Judah, we can reconstruct her role in the religions of the southern Levant. Now that's a problem, right? Because this female deity is worshipped in religions, or in other words, this female deity is a deity worshipped by other people, other nations. So that's a big problem. Why? Right? Why? Because of our instructions. So this whole relationship is a problem, right? So who is this Tetragrammaton? Who is this character, right? And who is this female deity? And are they both? These are the questions that come to my mind. Are they both Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences, right? That's the question. Okay. All right, so let's continue. So this female deity alleged to be the wife of the YHWH, known across the ancient Near East by various other names, such as Astarte, right? Astarte or Astarte, and Istar, Istar, was an important deity, one who was both mighty and nurturing. Right, continue. So now we're dealing with the deities of the nations who were round about. We're not supposed to be dealing with, right? Many English translations prefer to translate Asherah as, notice this, sacred tree. Many English translations, so this is saying English translations. What about Russian? What about Spanish? Or what about some other language? Portuguese or some other language. This is specifying what? English translations. Many English translations prefer to translate Asherah as sacred tree, Wright said. This seems to be in part driven by a modern desire, clearly inspired by biblical narratives, to hide Asherah behind a veil once again. So this brings us right back to Jeremiah 8:8. I hope everybody sees this, right? Here's a clear admission to this, okay, to the Jeremiah 8:8. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so remember, keep in mind that this female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton is translated as sacred tree. Okay, so why is that? It says again here, this seems to be in part. So part of the reason, okay, is a modern desire. So these Bible translators, who are the Bible translators? Nowadays, religious organizations, Christianity and Judaism. So these modern Christians and Jewish people don't want people to know this. This is what this is saying, right? Now we know that the religious people, the religious organizations are the ones who are translating the Christian scriptures, and the Jewish people are translating the modern Hebrew versions, right? So this is what's being told to us. The Christian and Jewish religions in modern time want to hide this, so they translate it as sacred tree. All right, so here's a subheading: why are religious people happier? Okay, now let's continue. This is a quote. Mentions of this deity, this female deity, alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton in the Hebrew Bible, are rare and have been heavily edited by ancient authors. So again, see, heavily edited means insertion. So that takes us back to Jeremiah 8:8 that we always deal with at Zion Law School. All right, heavily edited. Okay, heavily edited. Go back to this one. See, it says, your teachers have twisted it by writing lies. Heavily edited. Y'all see that? We have the word of the Most High when your teachers have twisted it by writing lies. Okay, and then the English Standard Version, but behold, the lying pen of the scribes has made it into a lie. See that? All right, very clear. Jeremiah 8 occurrences, they're admitting it. Okay, so let's continue. So let me start back up here. Mentions of this female deity in the Hebrew Bible are rare and have been heavily edited by ancient authors who gathered the text together. Okay, that's according to Aaron Brody, director of the Babe Museum and an associate professor of Bible and archaeology at the Pacific School of Religion. All right. So this deity as a tree. Now remember, we're talking about a female deity being translated as a tree. So this female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton as a tree symbol was even said to have been chopped down and burned outside of the temple in acts of certain rulers who were trying to purify the cult and focus on the worship of a single male deity. Notice it's lowercase, Tetragrammaton, lowercase, not uppercase. Okay. The ancient Israelites were polytheists, Browdy told Discovery News, with only a small minority worshiping the Tetragrammaton alone before the historic events of 586 BC. In that year, an elite community within Judea was exiled to Babylon, and the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed. Thus, or this, Browdy said, led to a more universal vision of strict monotheism. One power, not only for Judah, but for all the nations. Now, what's interesting in here, right? So we're talking of, this is what, Babylonian captivity, okay, correct? This is Babylonian captivity. Polytheist, let's look it up for those of you who may be unfamiliar with this word. So polytheism. All right, so we will, okay, let's click on this one. Okay. Okay, so here we are, polytheistic, polytheism. Okay, so a belief in or worship of more than one deity, more than one power. Okay, so that's what it is. Let's go back to the article. All right. So what this is saying, this is alleging that ancient Israelites worship more than one power. Now, is that true? This is the question. Is this true? Well, what did the Most High tell us when we were leaving when we were leaving Egypt? What did he tell us? Let's go back to the instructions. All right. Exodus chapter 10, this is 10 commandments or the instructions. What does it say? Verse 3, you shall have no other deity before me. Okay, 4, you shall not make for yourself an image of anything under the heaven or the earth, so on and so forth. No idols. What are the idols? The idols were deities. So clearly, our ancestors were involved in worshiping or venerating other deities, right? Because they were told not to. Now let's go back to Deuteronomy 29. Trying to help everyone to make connections. So Deuteronomy 29. Okay, so verse 16, right? It says, you yourselves know how we lived in Egypt and how we passed through the countries on the way here. You saw among them their detesting images of idols of wood and stone, of silver and gold. Make sure no man, woman, or clan among you today whose heart turns. So basically, this is saying that our ancestors were in Egypt, exposed to those deities, right? Some were venerating those deities, okay? And also the nations round about, they were also exposed to their deities. And we were warned, verse 19, when such a person hears the words of this oath and they invoke a blessing on themselves, thinking I will be safe, even though I persist in my own way, what does that have to do with calling on these deities? They will bring disaster on the watered land as well as the dry. And then 20, which is what I wanted to get to, the Most High will never be willing to forgive them. Okay, so the Most High was saying, leave all of those deities behind. Okay, so now let's go back to our article. We should not be surprised to read this, right? This is not surprising. Okay, so what happened? We were kicked out of the land. Okay, we were sent into captivity, right? Don't pay too much attention to these dates because the dates are just guesses, okay? What's important now? It says in that year, an elite community within Judea was exiled to Babylon and the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed. This, Brody said, led to a more universal vision of strict monotheism. So who did it? Who are the elites? So this elite, according to this article, this elite community of Judeans were exiled in Babylon. And it was this elite community who were probably what? Priests, rich people, right? Levites, the powerful people. They went to Babylon, and according to this article, they what? They got together in Babylon and said, hey, let's only venerate the Tetragrammaton. Do everybody see that? A more universal vision of what? Strict monotheism. Okay, so what this is telling us is that these elites did that in Babylon. Okay, this is what, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just explaining what's happening in this paragraph. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Just explaining what's going on. So this female deity, alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton, according to the researcher, is spelled out in both the Bible and 8th century BC inscription on pottery found in the Sinai desert at a site called Cantilet Ajrad. In 2013, the 2013 Okay, so this is getting into something else. So let's go to the other article. So everybody keep that in mind, okay? Keep what we just read in mind. Now, this is the Jewish Encyclopedia. All right, the Jewish Encyclopedia. Let's see what they have to say. Give me 1 second. I want to check the screen. All right, hold on. Let me take a look at these. Shalom, Barbara. How are you? Chapter 20 document. Barbara, I don't really understand what you mean by chapter 20, not 10. Okay. Okay, very good, very good, very good, Barbara. Excellent, excellent. All right, very good comment. Barbara wrote, we were constantly warned not to honor/worship the deities of the other nations. Excellent. Shalom, John Walker. All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in class, man. Excellent. And I hope all is well too, going with your family and the situation last time we spoke. All right, Jerice, Shalom. Okay, so let's get back to the article. All right. I kind of enjoy stuff like this, things that make you think. Okay, so this is Asherah. So this is the female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton. So what stands out in the phrase that I just mentioned? Wife, right? That should stand out because wife is what? That's Greek and Roman, right? Wife is not Hebraic. So if it's Greek and Roman, isn't that the language that was being spoken right around this time, y'all? Okay, this is how words, knowing the etymology of words and chronology, not specific dates, but the order of things. This is how it helps us to figure things out and put two and two together. Okay, so let's begin with our first paragraph. All right, a Hebrew word occurring frequently in the Bible and signifying, except in a few late passages noted below, a wooden post or pole planted near the altars of various deities. In the authorized version, the word is rendered grove. Now, what are we talking about? This deity here, that is what? That the modern day religious people translate as tree. Remember that? Let's go back to it. They hid it and translated as tree somewhere in here. Remember? Yeah. Let me put this link in the comments. Give me 1 second. So it'll be. I'm going to name it the first article. Okay. So this is the one that has the tree in it. They translate it as tree. So I just put that in the chat. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I did that right. All right. So let's go back. Let me put this in the chat too. This is the encyclopedia, the Jewish encyclopedia. Let me put this in the chat real quick too, so I don't forget. Okay. 1 second. Article 2. So now you have both of these articles in the chat. All right, so let's continue. So here, the Jewish Encyclopedia is saying that it's translated as what? A wooden post or a pole, okay? And in the authorized version, this word here, the deity, the female deity, is translated as grove. That's very interesting that they're doing that, right? Okay, so let's continue here. It has often been inferred from Deuteronomy verse 16:21 that this female deity, allegedly the wife of the Tetragrammaton, was originally a tree. That doesn't even make sense to me, unless you start thinking what? I'll hold the thought until later. But I hope I put the question mark in your head so you'll start to think, start making connections. Okay, so let me read it again. It has often been inferred from Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 21, that the female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton was originally a tree. But the passage should be translated as the female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton of any kind of wood. So let me just say this, okay? It should be translated as Asherah of any kind of wood. Now, y'all notice that it's a lowercase a. It should be what? Capital letter A, right? It should be capital A because it's a name of a person, right? This says compare more encyclopedia, whatever this encyclopedia, maybe Biblica, I don't know. So it has this citation here. Y'all can go back and read this yourself, okay? All right. Since the sacred tree had a name of its own, now notice this, the sacred tree had a name of its own. So we're talking about the tree, okay? El, Ella, Elon, and what? And the Asherah. Now notice here it's a capital A. So these type of things matter in grammar, right? So this is a capital A, same word, lowercase a. Okay, so my question for y'all is why? Y'all think it over. You can research it and figure it out. There's a lot of information in that. Okay, but let's go back to this. The sacred tree had a name of its own, which was El, Ella, Elon. Okay, and the Asherah, with capital A, was sometimes set up under the living tree. You find this information at 2 Kings, verse 17. I'm sorry, chapter 17, verse 10. This pole was often of considerable size, according to Judges chapter 6, verse 25, since it could furnish fuel for the sacrifice of a bullock. It was found near the altars of, quite interesting, right? It was found near the altars of Baal, and down to the days of Josiah, near those of the YHWH. So that would be near the altars of YHWH also. Not only at the Samaria, okay, this is the scripture. I think that's 2 Kings 13, verse 6. And Bethel, 2 Kings 23, 15. But even at Jerusalem, 2 Kings 23, verse 6. Sometimes it was carved in revolting shapes, 1 Kings 15, verse 13. And at times, perhaps draped, 2 Kings 23, verse 7. It is most often associated in the Bible with pillars. So a mazabat is a pillar that in primitive days served at once as a representation of the lowercase deity and as an altar. All right, so did y'all see that? That served as a representation of the lowercase God and as an altar. Okay, and then there's a citation. Okay, it was proscribed in the Deuteronomic law and abolished in Josiah's reform. So this is very interesting right now. Remember, as we read this, keep Jeremiah 8:8 in mind so you can get the full understanding of what is being talked about here. Okay, these are edits, right? All right, so let's continue. In a few passages, Judges chapter 3, verse 7, 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 19, 2 Kings chapter 20, chapter 23, verse 4, the capital A, female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton, appears to be the name of a female deity. Here we are right here. Appears to be the name of a female deity. But the text has in every case been corrupted or glossed compared to these citations. So in other words, it's been edited. Okay, that's what they're saying, corrupted. It's been edited. So that takes us back to Jeremiah 8:8. Okay, so that's what this is saying. All right. So in the first of the three passages, the name capital A, this deity here, the alleged female deity of the Tetragrammaton, should stand out as it does elsewhere in the case of similar charges of defection from the YHWH. Charges of defection would be what? This would be idolatry, worshiping other deities, okay? And then it gives the scripture citations. So Judges chapter 2, verse 13, Judges chapter 5, verse 6, 1 Samuel chapter 6, verse 4, 1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 10. In the other two passages, the term the capital A deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton is superfluous. These passages may indicate, as the researchers suggest, that the capital A deity alleged to be the female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton became in some localities a fetish or cultish deity. Y'all see that? So this deity was worshipped, let's say in Chicago, Cleveland, LA, let's say London, you know, different cities, right? It was a fetish, all right, among the cults. So let's look up fetish. Let's see what kind of nuance we get with this word. Oh, now, see that? What does it say? Fetish, a form of sexual desire in which gratification is linked to an abnormal degree to a particular object, item of clothing, part of the body, etc. 2, an inanimate object worship for its supposed what? Magical powers. So now they're going to this deity for what? They're going to this deity for some type of service or benefit away from the Most High, right? All right. So an inanimate object worshipped for its supposed magical powers or because it is considered to be inhabited by a spirit. Y'all see that? Believed to be inhabited by a spirit. So we really, really see why the Most High hit us with the curses the way he did, and the way he said he would do. Now look at this word, totem. Totem. Is this like a totem pole? Is that a totem pole? Ah, well, look at that. Now make a cultural connection. Make the cultural connection. Okay, totem. Noun, a natural object or animal that is believed by a particular society to have spiritual significance and that is adopted by it as an emblem. So here's the pole that we read about. Let's go back to that article. So remember somewhere up here. Okay, so here we are. Y'all see? It says a wooden pole, a wooden post or pole planted near the altars of various deities. There we are. It's the totem. The totem. All right, so let's take a look at these. So where do we find these totem poles? I won't say. I'll let you all think this over. What continent do we find totem poles? Okay, there's the other totem poles. What comes to mind is the continent that I'm from. I really can't, I've never seen any totem poles like this on other continents. Maybe they exist, but I have not seen them. Okay, so here we see. All right, so our ancestors were definitely involved in worshiping more than one power. All right, so let's continue. That was quite fun, actually. I enjoyed that. Did we read this already? Oh, yeah, we read this. We read this. Okay, so the fetishes, that's very interesting, right? The fetishes. See how all of that information was hidden behind this word? If we had not looked up that word, we would not have gotten all that information. Okay, now let's just go back and do cultists. See, all of this we would not have gotten, right? This also does what? This orients us in what? It orients us in time and space, right? Because we know for sure what continent these totem poles were on, where people were using these. We know that. But if you all have seen the location of the promised land according to Moses video, you'll be able to put this in proper context, right? Okay, so let's look up cultists. Cultists, a system or a variety of religious worship. So how much do y'all want to bet that this cultist practice involved what? Sex. How much you want to bet? I'm pretty sure, right? I'm pretty sure of it. Anyway, you want to know why? Because of the meaning of fetish. And I know our people, they were going to temple, foreign temple god, temples of foreign deities, and doing what? Sex practices. So right here, so one of the meanings of fetish is what? Sexual desire in which gratification is linked to an abnormal degree to a particular object, item, part, so on and so forth. So there was, I'm sure, some type of sex in here, right? I'm sure they had their temple set apart prostitutes and all of that, male and female, right? When you go through your Strongs, you start reading this, you'll find all of this out. Set apart for their deity, not for the Most High. Okay, so capital A-S-H-E-R-A, the deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton. Okay, the name. Okay, so this deity they're saying is what? A name of a Syrian female deity, right? So it's foreign, okay? So this female deity alleged to be the wife of the Tetragrammaton was also the name of a Syrian female deity. In the El Armana tablets of the 15th century BC, her name appears with the determinative for deity as a part of the name Arad. So here I am, Arad Ashurta, Arad Ashurta, or Ibad Asherah. Everybody see that? All right. It also appears in the Sumerian hymn published by Reisner, Sumerish Babylonian hymn, okay, on a hematite cylinder, and in an astrological text of the Arsacide period. She appears to have been the consort of the god Amaru. All right, so y'all should have some familiarity with Amaru, right? Amaru. You hear people who talk about the history of the ancient Americas and the peoples, talk about Amaru, right? Okay. Amaru, a Baal is a deity of the Lebanon region, okay? Gives a citation. So Arad Ashtoreth in the El Amana tablets represents not only a sheik, but a clan, and is possibly one which afterward became the tribe of Asher. Ooh. Possibly a trace of this goddess is to be found in an inscription from Citium in Cyprus. This is kind of hard for me to read. It looks all bundled up. The words are too close together. Okay, so I'm somewhere around here. Okay, so let's see. Many scholars, however, interpret the passage. So let's skip through this because I think the point is well made here. Let's start here. The relation of this female deity to the pole called capital Asherah in the Bible is a difficult problem. Okay, so the name in the Bible is masculine. Yeah, this is the issue. The name in the Bible is masculine. The plural, Asherim or Asherim. Okay, so the name has that capital first letter, right? Asherim, according to 16 times, occurring 16 times, and the plural Asherot, but 3 times. The latter is clearly in error. Asherah must be a nomen unitus. G. Hoffman has shown, okay, then there's a citation, that these posts originally marked the limits of the sacred precincts. Now, this is something I've heard taught, well, that's a different story. So let's continue. And that in the Masab inscription, it is the equivalent of sacred enclosure. Okay, so the poles mark geographical areas, the boundaries, that's what it's saying. So that's why sacred enclosure. Moore finds in this fact that the explanation of the use of the word Assyrian or Ashurtu, Asherati, so on, in the sense of the sanctuary. Hummel fancies that he sees in the original form of the ideogram for Ishtar, and then it has a citation, a post on which hangs the skin of an animal. All right. Quite apart, however, from Hammel's somewhat imaginary conjuncture, the Assyrian and Phoenician use of the word in the sense of sanctuary, taken in connection with the Arabian and Syrian use of it as the name of the female deity, indicates that the posts were used at the sanctuaries of the primitive Semitic mother female deity or mother deity, and that in the course of time, their name attached itself in certain quarters to the goddess herself and has survived in South Arabia and Syria. When, therefore, the late editors, that means the people who wrote changes, right? The late editors of the Old Testament books made of the Asherah a fetish or cultist god. History was but repeating itself. So that wasn't the first time they did it. That's what this is saying here. All right, so that was quite interesting. So let me see. I want to check this other article out, see if it's worth reading. Give me 1 second, y'all. So put some comments in the box. Let's see what happens with it. Okay, so I have this other article. I'm not going to go through everything in this article, but let me put it in the chat first. So this is Asherah. Let's see if this is the same. All right. Can I blow it up? Okay. I put the, Jerice, I put the link for that article in the chat so you can have it, okay? Let me try to read through some more of these comments. Modern day Christmas tree, don't be like the heathen. So Barbara wrote, modern day Christmas tree, don't be like the heathen that chops down the tree, bring it in the house and deck it with silver and gold. All right, Jerry says, wow, can you blow it up? Okay, that's good. All right, so the links are in the chat, everybody. The links are in the chat for each of these articles. So I don't know if I put the current, I don't know if I put the current article. Well, let me copy this link. I don't know if I put it in the chat or not. I forgot. I told y'all I can't do two things at the same time. I get confused. Okay. This is the third article. This is the third article. Okay, so it's in the chat now. All right, so let's go back and we'll do a cursory examination of this, okay? So this is Ashereth. All right. So the name given in the Old Testament to the Old Semitic mother deity called in Phoenicia Astarte. Did we just look at that? Was it? Yeah, Astarte was one of the deities, right? Let me copy this and find out. I don't remember. I think, yeah, it was one of the deities, Astarte. Where was it at in this article? Let me do a find real fast so we don't waste time. No? Why did that do that? Did we see Astarte? Well, I'll tell you what, let me look this one up in the other article so we can try to get oriented before I run through this. Okay, so we won't do this one. Okay. Well, better yet, let's go ahead and do this. This is a different topic since we're here. This is Ashtoreth. Okay, so the video has ended for the wife, the alleged wife of the Most High. I'm sorry, the alleged wife of the Tetragrammaton. That video is over. But I'm curious, so I want to take a look at this article. So this is the Jewish Encyclopedia. Okay, let me put this in the chat so somebody might get this confused. Well, anyway, the video is over, so don't confuse this with what we just talked about. I'm just curious here. So let me go through this. Ashtoreth. The name given in the Old Testament to the Old Semitic mother deity called in Phoenicia Astarte, in Babylon Ishtar. Okay, and in Arabia Aphtar. For her worship among the Hebrews, see Astarte. See Astarte. Ashtoreth is derived from Astarte by a distortion after the analogy of Bosheth or Bosheth. Okay, then there's a citation. The goddess in Phoenicia, the female deity in Phoenicia. All right, so Astarte was the chief female deity of the Sidonians, among whom she was worshipped as an independent divinity and also under the name of Astarte, of the name of Baal. Astarte of the name of Baal, as a counterpart of Baal. Okay, so that sounds like the male, the masculine, female, right? The masculine and female aspects, or maybe husband, wife. A fragment quoted in the Philobiblios connects the worship of Astarte with Tyre. Okay, and there's a citation. All right, so let me find out where we are. While Lucian describes, here we are. While Lucian describes it in some detail, her worship at Gebal, or Bablos, in which the wailing for Tumaz was a prominent feature. As a part of this ritual, women were obliged to sacrifice either their hair or their chastity. Women were obliged to sacrifice either their hair or their chastity. A shrine of this goddess was found also in the city of Ashkelon in Philistia, in which the armor was hung after the battle of Gilboa. There's a scriptural citation. In the Phoenician colonies, the Phoenician colonies carried the worship of Ashtoreth into the Mediterranean. In Cyprus, she had important temples at Citium and Paphos and left a deep impression on its civilizations. Okay, it also left its impress in Malta and Sicily. So let's skip down to the next paragraph. In North Africa, Astaroth was known as Tanith, to which is frequently attached the epithet face of Baal. Some right here, the epithet face of Baal, right there, showing that she was often regarded as subordinate to that deity. She was also called Dido, or love, and was, as Augustine says, de capitate dei, worship with obscene rites. Okay, worship with obscene rites. Everything to do with Baal is obscene. A lot of obscene stuff with Baal. If y'all remember when we did the Strong's number review concerning this matter. Okay, so in Babylon, in Babylonia and Assyria, she was worshipped as Ishtar at several different shrines, in each of which the deity, the female deity, possessed slightly varying characteristics. Erech was one of the oldest and most important of these shrines, where she was called also Nana. Nana, y'all see where I'm at? I'm right here. She was also called Nana, and generally appears as the goddess of what? Sexual love and fertility. At Agad, at Agade, she was worshipped as the spouse of Shamash, and at Babylon, the spouse of Marduk. At the later shrine, where she was called Zarpanit, she was the female deity of fertility for both plants and animals. According to Herodotus, every Babylonian woman once in her life was compelled to offer her person at Zarpanat's shrine. So y'all know what that means. From Babylonia, immigrants carried her worship to Assyria, as represented in the Assyrian inscriptions. In Assyria, at Nineveh and Assur, she was regarded as the spouse of Assur and the mother of the gods of men. Gods and men, rather, mother of the deities and men. With the deity Assur, she was supreme, although other deities were worshipped. Another shrine of hers of high antiquity was at Arbela. From the reign of Sennacherib onward, the Ishtar of Arbela is regarded as distinct from all other Ishtars. So there were many Ishtars. She had no spouse, was mother, and the female deity of war. Isn't that interesting, y'all? She's the deity of love, sex, and fertility, and war. Probably her worship there had never been united within that of a male deity. In Arabia, she was known as Atar. In southern Arabia, rather, at least was changed into a masculine deity. So in southern Arabia, she became a masculine deity. Okay. An interesting inscription exhibits this transition in process. Okay. As a goddess, as a female deity, Attar was a mother and was bifurcated. Bifurcated means split, okay, rather than transformed into a masculine and feminine deity. So this one female deity became both male and female. Transform would be started as female and now male, okay? The father and the mother of mankind, all right? So that's what that's saying right here. So it was bifurcated, all right? So bifurcated into a masculine and feminine deity. And this masculine feminine deity that came out of this one female deity, according to this site, their religious beliefs, became what? The father and mother of mankind. And here's a citation here. The father was also known as Astar, or by such epithets as I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not going to even try, but you all see the word there. The mother as Shams, and then further citations. Let's see. So in Abyssinia, as a deity, Ashtar was a deity of fertility. Okay, let me see if there's any interesting. I'm scanning to see if there's anything interesting in here. I don't see anything interesting. And so I'm here, I'm scanning here now. I don't see anything interesting. Okay, I didn't see anything further interesting. So that's going to conclude this video. So I want to say thanks everybody for tuning in. Like and share the video. Also subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and make sure you come to the curses class. Okay, it's Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and bring somebody with you. Bring somebody with you. Okay, somebody who really wants to learn, preferably. But invite your family, friends, your wife, your son, daughter, whatever. You don't have to buy anything. There's 2 classes for free, and you're gonna learn a lot. So Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Dr. Yasapa. Also, if you are not supporting Zion Law School and my work, consider doing so. Okay, the way you can support is enroll in the Curses course. You can buy any of my books, or if you want, you can give a donation. So any way you want to do it, go ahead, and I would really appreciate that. It'll help me get this work done. Anyway, so thanks for tuning in. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Be good to each other. Okay, be good to each other. Shalom.